Alright, and we're back. I may be recording this in June, but we're going to recap this regardless. Picking up where we left off, after about 7 weeks in Cusco, getting comfy in small hippie towns, doing plenty of yoga, medicinal retreats, holotropic breath work, and now a registered shaman. It's finally time to move on above Cusco, going further north through Peru, and enjoying our time there. This time we're joined with our lovely buddy Imogen that we've picked up along the way from the jungle. So she's going to be accompanying us, making travel a little bit different. It's always nice traveling with another person, having someone to talk to, splitting costs, and if shit goes wrong, you can always blame it on someone else. She is absolutely a lovely addition, and it's always nice to share the experiences with, and really good for motivation for getting you up in the morning, doing activities, and really making the most of every day. So, yeah, made the last few months of travel really beautiful. And at this point, it's about 8 months in through the travel, and I've only been to basically two and a bit countries, and there's still a lot more on the itinerary, and the budget's getting shorter, and it gets to a point where I really want to smash out, do everything I want to, and it becomes more of a quicker pace every 3-4 days, moving on to a new place, which is definitely a different style of backpacking. So, yeah. So we start in Peru, where we left off, and spend about a month making our way up, and I gotta say, Peru's probably gotta be my favourite country all up. The environment drastically changing from stop to stop when it goes from the famous green Andean mountains that just go forever to the arid desert, and then endless sand dunes, and then back up to picturesque snowy peaks and glaciers, and then back down to the beach. It literally had everything, and in a pretty decent climate as well. There were the colder areas, but in general it was really, really nice. So time well spent in Peru for sure. I'd also note that the general accessibility and overall experience you can get as a tourist in Peru is pretty unmatched anywhere else in South America. To be able to be integrated within the community as much as you can, and not feeling too invasive, or not feeling like you're intruding and pissing off all the locals. It tends to be the case, especially further up in Colombia. Whereas in Peru, it's still the case. You're still a tourist. There's still people on the streets bartering with you, and you gotta make your way and stand your ground, and really embrace the experience of being in a foreign country and being a foreign person. You can't expect to be treated like a local. I completely understand that, but it was just great in Peru. You could just walk into the busy, colourful local markets that really bridge the gap between the tourists and the locals. It would mostly be the locals, and you were welcome as a tourist as long as you could speak a bit of Spanish. The markets were definitely the place I felt the least touristy, or at least I felt like I was in an environment where everything isn't made just for me as a tourist to spend money and to experience, and it just felt a lot more real and enjoyable, and it was one of my highlights for sure. It also had a slightly less gentrified feeling, where the real locals that actually live there benefit from that tourist money, and the money tourists kind of bring in. Don't get me wrong, there's still an abundance of uber expensive cafes, the odd McDonald's, and occasionally a poor old llama in the corner dressed up in a rainbow poncho that you can get a photo with. Poor thing, but overall, Peru was able to integrate that tourism in a fairly authentic and healthy way for the country to still be proud of themselves. I'll always fondly remember getting a fresh fruit smoothie from the market and bartering with a lady in some broken Spanish, and then huddling under a little umbrella around a little stall where picarones are being made, and it's raining and it's cold, and you're huddling up with locals, and you're just waiting for these sweet, gluttonous deep fried battery and caramel sauce. Yeah, it was just great. Later on, we continue through Ecuador, and instantly we see a shift of that Western cultural influence. The cities are absolutely filled with expats from the US, and it was hard to ignore. And it really kind of kickstarted my critical thinking of the real negative impact of tourism, gentrification, and generally ethical traveling, especially realizing maybe a little late that I'm actually contributing to the problem. But I'll talk more about that in another video, I'm sure. Nonetheless, Ecuador was beautiful. We only stayed 8 days, and pretty much all of it in smaller, isolated towns, surrounded by mountains and the rainforest, and it was gorgeous. Believe it or not, I began to get invested into a bit of bird spotting as we're around the forests, and saw toucans, oropendulas, and motmots, and all sorts of things, and it was a lot of fun actually. And we're all really glad we didn't glaze over Ecuador and missed it at all. A lot of people do fly from Peru to Colombia and skip Ecuador because it's a bit less traveled, but no, really nice place. Only there for a bit, but well worth our time. And up next is Colombia.